Looking at the devastating outcome of the pandemic this year, what is your view of the global economic outlook and the human resources in particular?
There's going to be obviously a massive impact. There is no denying that fact, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. I think there is going to be a lot of displacement, a lot of jobs lost, and a lot of turmoil when it comes to human resources. We have to also remember that we are still in the pandemic. We are not even out, and already layoffs are happening, and so much is happening. So imagine once pandemic, in the next few months, the companies, by the time they gather their momentum, this impact is going to last for quite a while. So I think digitalization is a way to go. I'm not saying that's the only solution, but it is a very positive step to at least keep the momentum going, to keep the burner burning, and keep the business going. And there's going to be a big shift to the whole human capital. I think working from home, and I don't believe that there is all or nothing kind of a situation. But I think working from home, which used to be only a very select thing for a lot of companies, is probably a much more acceptable way of working. People not just working from home, but I think working from anywhere is going to become a little bit more. So I think it's going to break the boundaries down between countries. And so when it comes to human capital, people will also see who's the best person for the job, irrespective of where that person is based. Location used to be a big constraint a lot of times, which I think is going to now change, because people will say if that person is good and they can work from anywhere. So I think there's going to be that big change. I think that the whole attitude towards work is going to change. Jobs are going to be more around your capabilities. They're going to be very skill based, that what are you capable of, as opposed to a lot of other bells and whistles that the companies used to look at. In a lot of ways, there's going to be a lot of positive as well that is going to come out from here. There always is from a crisis. You start shedding out the bad and take the good. And I'm sure even with pandemic, the same is going to happen. Some good practices are going to come around: flexibility, openness, trust. I guess the one big change also will be that people will be more focused on what their employees produce in terms of results. So it's going to be a very result-oriented appraisal, as opposed to effort. The efforts that you have put, or the times that you have stayed in the office late, or so, because you don't see all that anymore, right? You only see the result and the bottom lines. It will make companies more productive, and it'll make employees much more result oriented, so that, they're delivering the results so as to be to sustain their roles.
I agree. I mean, I think, and just to adding to what you mentioned, that the global pandemic also had given us the bandwidth of which there were certain things that used to be like good to have has changed to must have. So
Exactly.
those things, those kinds of shifts, as you mentioned, whether it's working from home, whether it's evaluating your employees, whether it's the geographical locations, how things will change from an activity orientation to result orientation model. And I agree. I mean, these things have opened certain, because there was no model to test it. The nature gave us a model to automatically test it, and we had got into that sin, because the world didn't have an option. And when we tested it, somehow or the other, I won't say all the boxes were ticked, but some boxes were ticked that came as a surprise to the entire globe, I suppose.
Very true, very true. And I think a couple of things will change forever, Yusuf. Like earlier, business people would take a 12-hour flight for a half an hour meeting with a client. I think those things are going to stop. The acceptance to close deals digitally and to only travel for where it makes sense. So I think there are some changes which will not be reversible, but the others will probably become a hybrid, and the acceptance will.
I completely agree. So with all this uncertainty, how is Zopa remaining resilient?
I think we are in the right place at the right time. I would be worried if I was in my traditional business at this stage. I think I would be freaking out right now. But we are in a good space. We are in the right technology. We are in the right, so to say, industry. And I don't want to sound like, everything is hunky dory, but it is, in the sense that, at least we know that there is, the demand has gone up for our services and our product. We just put our heads down and we get on with it. We've realized that the potential has grown, so the market has grown, so our market share must grow as well. We are very positive, and I just hope that we continue to innovate to move as quickly as the world is changing, so that we are always ahead of our competition, and we are making an impact, which is a big thing, that we're making a difference to our client, and tangible KPIs are being met, so that we can feel proud of the impact we are creating.
During our discussions, you mentioned that you work closely with the government of Singapore. So, in what respect will Zopa AI help the UAE government in times like this?
I hope most of the model that we have practiced in Singapore is going to be replicable. The few of the examples that we have, I'll just give you a few use cases of what we have done with the government. For example, at the government level with Workforce Singapore, which is at the government level in the Ministry of Employability, Zopa is being deployed to help the local Singaporeans and PRs to find jobs much quicker, because it's all AI. So there is no wastage of time. Or so what happens is there's an automatic matching between jobs and employees and people looking for work. So all the clutter and the time wastage, and for them to apply to multiple companies and so on. So the government is already kind of working with us to improve that employability of their citizens. So that is one of the use cases. We are working with the government on a lot of virtual fairs now. So we have a virtual solution where instead of physically going into a career fair, you can go into a virtual career fair, and that's an ongoing virtual career fair. So again, it's like speed hiring, all of that leading to more employability, better employability. Finally, I don't know if that is a use case as well in UAE, but we have a fair bit of aging population here, and there is a huge initiative of the government to help senior citizens get back to work. Tools like us, which remove biases, which remove subjectivity, which remove, it is more around skill to the job, and the capability to the job rather than anything else. Again, those it's helping them to get the workforce back into work and so on. So jobs are a big thing. The other thing is there is a fair bit of scholarships that are allocated by the government for sending their citizens abroad for studies. Again, a platform is being used for that. So anywhere where you use selection at scale, at those very large levels. And I hope that we can replicate some of these use cases in UAE as well, just from our past wins in Singapore, and just kind of hopefully some of these will be duplicated there as well.
Well, what have you learned from the pandemic blow this year?
This is not my first crisis in business. I've been through the financial crisis. I've been through the dot-com bust, and so I'm that old. And each of these crises only kind of makes me realize that it is just so important to stay so focused, and be very, very focused on what your value proposition is. That focus drives growth. Hold on to, if something is kind of wasting time or wasting money, be fast to fail, and don't be in the ego of holding on to products. So in this pandemic itself, there have been products which we had a suite of products. So there were some that became a hit like overnight, and some which did not fly. So I'm kind of dispassionate now, and I don't, as a founder, I don't get all attached to all my products equally. I'm very, very clinical about it. So I think pandemics like this and crises like this make you more innovative. They also tell you how important it is to be flexible, and how to change like this. Things can change in a split second. You have to react very quickly. There is no time to sit and brood and think and strategize. Sometimes you just got to react to it and and take it in stride and take it positively and say that, okay, something good's going to come out of it, but let's just flow with the tide and accept what's changing and change along with that.
Oh, I completely agree. You're right. I mean, with respect to the reflex, that needs to be really, really quick, and adapting to the new change it's not something. It becomes difficult though for the way traditionally we have been handling it in a particular way. Not because we don't want to make that change, just because we have a legacy that has taught us it's something in a different fashion to tackle a situation or a problem. But nowadays, with things happening so much, adaptability and acceptability, and I also add to it, and that's my personal opinion. I have that in order to understand and deep dive quickly to resolve something that can really help. Probably the results might not show in the first 30 days, but it will have a lasting impact in the days to come.
Absolutely.
AI is being heralded as the new dawn of the future of work. And I absolutely believe that it has the power to enable new business models, help people, and completely change the world.